Hey guys, it's the Flippin Hippo. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel at Flippin Hippos. And welcome to episode 5 of Back to Basics, the series of videos I'm doing for the beginning reseller, how to become a reseller from start to finish. In this episode, we're going to talk about how many listings you should be listing every day. And this is going to be a little bit disappointing for some of you, but there is no blanket answer. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. I can't sit here and say, you need to list X amount of items and have that answer be good for everybody, because the answer to the question, how many items a day should I list, is very individualized. And it basically comes down to two things, time and money. How much time you have to spend on eBay and how much money you want to make. So let's talk about time first. If you have a relatively busy life, you're not going to have as much time as someone who doesn't have as many other obligations. If you have kids, if you're in college, if you have a job outside the house, if you volunteer in the community, if you're part of a group or a club, any number of things that you do in your life that take up your time means less time for eBay. So that's why it can't be a generalized answer. It basically is going to come down to how much time you personally have that you can dedicate to listing on eBay each day, coupled with how much time you can actually say that you're going to dedicate. So if you sit down and you think about your schedule and all of your other obligations in life, and you figure that you have 2 extra hours a day free, can you actually dedicate those 2 hours to eBay? Or can you seriously only, and you got to be honest with yourself when you think about this, is it more realistic to think that you can dedicate 1 of those hours to eBay and the other hour is your downtime, reading a book, watching TV, something in the evening before you go to bed? So you have to be realistic and honest with yourself. And each person is going to individually have their own solution, and it will be based upon your life, your willingness to dedicate hours, how much sleep you need. There's a lot of variables. So you really have to sit down and think, how much free time do you have in a day, and how much of that can you honestly dedicate to eBay? And if you really want to be successful, I'm going to tell you this right now, you will have to make sacrifices. If you think starting a reselling business is going to be easy, it's not. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication. And a lot of times, it takes a lot of sacrifice. If you're someone who likes to watch TV every night or play video games, that may be something you need to look at giving up and dedicating that to eBay instead. In the long run, it will definitely pay off. If you give up your extra time reading books or playing video games, say for a year, and at the end of the year you make enough money that you can quit your job outside of the house and do this full time, then that's definitely worth it. Nothing in life comes easy, and most things that are really worth it are going to take sacrifice and hard work. So it's just something you need to think about. I wanted to put that out there for you guys. It's not easy, and I would expect that you make sacrifices if you really want this to work. Now, I'm not saying, work from the time you get up till the time you go to bed or dedicate every spare second to eBay. That's not what I'm saying at all. Life is all about balance and time management, but that is a subject for another video. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to work all the time. You need to have time to unwind and have me time. And like I said, we'll get into the time management aspect in another video. But you also can't make excuses. So you can't say, well, I only have an hour to spend on eBay a day, when you know there's something you could be giving up to spend more time building a business for yourself. I'm going to say this one more time because I think it is so important. Nothing worthwhile in life comes without hard work and sacrifice. Once you figure out how much time you have to spend on eBay, you need to realistically think about how much time it takes you to list. And that, again, is not like a blanket answer. That's going to depend on what types of items you list, how long you've been doing it, how fast you are at it. A lot of things come into play there. For example, if I am listing shoes, it takes me about twice as long to list 10 pairs of shoes as it does to take me list 10 plush. because I know plush. I've been doing plush for a long time, and I've gotten to where I'm really fast at them. I hardly even have to comp them anymore. But shoes are something that is new to me that I've just started doing. So I have to look them up. I have to comp them. I have to do a little bit more research with each pair that I list. They take a little bit more time. And when I first started taking photographs of shoes a few weeks ago, I'll be honest with you guys, when I sat down at the computer to list, I was missing a photo of like the bottoms of the shoes or the inside tag. There were a lot of photos that I had to go back and get to list the item. And that's normal when you're a beginner. So if you take a bunch of photos, let's even just say you take a bunch of photos of 10 men's shirts, and when you go sit down the list, you realize you forgot a picture of the tag or the back of the shirt, don't be discouraged. In the beginning, that is 100% normal. When you are learning something new, you are not going to right off the bat be fast and be efficient. You're just not. You're going to forget things in the beginning that you're going to have to go back and get. You're going to forget measurements in the beginning that you're going to have to go back and get. And you're going to have to look everything up to comp it until you've learned the different styles, brands, and sizes. And that takes a while. When you've been at it a while, you're going to be faster. This series is for beginners. So when you think about how many items you want to list today, how much time you have to spend on eBay, be realistic with yourself. Figure out how long it's taking you to list the items that you list. And so you can feel accomplished and so you can feel like you're getting somewhere, once a week, once a month, time yourself. You will be amazed at how quickly you start to get faster. And in that 6th month, when you're timing yourself, and you compare it back to the first week you ever started, you are going to feel so accomplished and so amazed at yourself. And this is where I get to insert the plug for bullet journal, because you guys know I love bullet journals. They keep track of your entire life. And this is where you can keep track of how long it takes you. So when you're first getting started, set a timer, measure 10 pairs of jeans and photograph them. How long did that take you? Write it down. And then go list them. How long did that take you? And then do that once a week or once a month. You will be amazed at how quickly you get faster. It doesn't feel like it when you're in the midst of it, like when you're in the trenches, so to speak. But if you actually keep track of it and look back, you can actually see your progress, and you can feel accomplished, and you can feel good about yourself because you're getting better and faster. But in the beginning, you're going to forget stuff. You're going to have to go back and redo pictures that you messed up. You're going to have to look everything up, and that's normal, so don't let that discourage you. Just keep plugging along because you are going to get better, and if you're keeping track of it in your bullet journal, you will see how much better you get. So the whole time thing is, number one, finding out how much time you have free every day. How much of that free time are you really, honestly, realistically going to dedicate to eBay? And in that time, how many items can you list? Now, you take that and set it aside, and then you've got to figure out the money aspect of how many you should be listing a day. Is this a hobby for you? Are you just selling on eBay because you like thrifting and want to make a couple extra bucks? Is this a part-time job for you? Is this something that you want to start and build into a reselling business that's making enough money that you can quit your job and do this full time? Are you just doing it to pay off a credit card or a car payment? There are many different reasons why people start reselling, and many different styles and or business models people have. And all of them are okay. Whatever you're doing, you're fantastic and you're wonderful and you're doing fine. If this is a hobby for you, or if you're building an empire so you can do this full time, and everything in between, no matter what your reason is for reselling, it's your reason and it's 100% viable and you can do it. You just have to put the work in, and you have to sit down and figure these things out. If this is your hobby and you just want to make a couple extra bucks because you like to thrift on the weekends, just make sure you're listing enough that you're staying active and you're selling a couple items every week. Make sure you're pricing stuff or sourcing stuff so that you're at least doubling your money, because it is, even though it's a hobby, you're spending all your time and money at the thrift store. You want, I would say, to at least double your money. If this is something that you're doing to pay off a bill, a debt, a credit card, a car, how you got to figure out how much is left on that debt that you need to pay. How quickly do you want to pay it? How much money do you need to make each week, and go from there. And then if this is something that you're doing as a part-time job and it needs to be a part-time income, how much income do you need to make? Because there is a simple formula, and this formula is a blanket. This is a for everybody formula. Everybody can use it because you just plug in your different situations. So I'm just going to quickly go and do an example for you with easy numbers. So let's say I started my reselling business because I want to finish paying off my car. And my car has $1,000 left on it. And ideally, I'd want to pay it off in, say, 2 months. So I need to make an extra $500 a month to pay off my car. If I divide that by 4, I need to make $125 extra a week. Then I need to figure out my average sale price. So just if you haven't been selling long enough to figure out your average sale price, you can just kind of take a look at your store and see where your stuff is falling. On your phone app, you can see your 60-day total and the total amount of items sold. You would just divide the total amount of items by the total sold, and that gives you your average sale price. If you go on your seller hub on the computer, you can see your 30 and 60-day and 90-day totals, and you can figure out your average sale price for the last 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, however you want to figure it out. Like I said, if you haven't been selling for a long time, you're not going to be able to do it that way, but you can say, well, I've just started listing and I'm doing mostly jeans and they all sell around 25, 30. There's your average. Most people make about 40% profit on their items, give or take. That's not a blanket either. Everyone has a different cost of goods. Everyone sells different items. But generally speaking, 40 to 60%, depending on your cost of goods, your sale price, how it ships, all those things come into play. Only you know what your average percentage is that you're making off of your items. I'm going to go and say 40% for this example, just to be on the simple side. So I'm a person who just started. I sell mostly jeans. We'll say that most of them sell for $25. And I get roughly, I'm going to pull out the calculator, guys. I get roughly 45%. So let me do the calculator real quick. So I make about $11.25 per pair. That sounds good. And then I said I needed to make $125 a week. So I would divide 125 by 11.25. I need to do that 11 times. So I need to sell 11 pairs of jeans a week. And most people that sell used clothing have a 0.5% sell-through rate. So if you had 200 items up and you were a used clothing seller, your 0.5% sell-through would be roughly 10 items, give or take. If you sold electronics that yielded a 50% profit and most of your electronics went for, say, $50, you'd be making $25 an item. And then you would have a more like a 1% sell-through rate because they sell faster. So if you needed that $125 to pay off your car that I used in the beginning, and you sold some kind of electronic that you made roughly 50% of your sale and they all went for like $50, then you would need to do that 5 times a week. And you would only need to have like 50 items up. So that's how you figure out your money. You need to figure out how much money you want to make a week. And your average sale price or your average profit per item, and how many of those items do you need to sell a week to hit your money goal. And then from there you can figure out how many items you should be listing and how many items you should be aiming for. If you need to sell 10 items a week, you're going to have 200 items up if you're a used clothing seller. 200 or more, and that's just the way it is. And then you need to figure out how fast you want to get there. If you wanted to pay your car off in 2 months, but you're starting from scratch, you're not going to have 200 items up right away. You're just going to build towards it. So if you can do 10 or 20 a day, 10 a day in a month would be 300. And that's feasible. It would just take you maybe 3 months to pay your car off. And then you have to make sure that you have that time in your life to be able to list 10 a day. Because listing isn't just listing. There's photographs involved. There's measurements in certain cases. You're comping if it's something that's new to you. So you have to sit down individually and think of your own situation. There is no one size fits all answer to how many you should be listing a day. The only one-size-fits-all answer I have for you guys is that you should be listing every day. Every day. An active store is a happy store. And in order to keep your store happy and Cassini happy and to continue seeing activity, you've got to be listing every single day. Whether it's a couple of items, 10, 20, whatever you can do, you need to have some kind of activity on your eBay every day, whether you have a store or you're just selling as an individual. You need to have activity every single day. I cannot say that enough. If you are really, really strapped for time, I do know that some resellers, on a day that they have off from their other job or a day that they have more free time than normal, and this is where the sacrifice comes in, maybe you have to give up your Netflix binge on Saturday and spend that Saturday taking a lot of photographs. And then maybe you could list 10 a day next week. If you spent all day Saturday taking photos, the photos part is already taken, then you could list 10 of those items every day. Some folks do all their photographs one day, sit down the second day, and set up all of the drafts on eBay for the listings, but don't make them live or don't list them. And that way, throughout the week, they can go into their drafts and list 5 or 10 of those that they've already set up for themselves, but the work is already done. They've already done the photos and the comping. Everything's ready. You just got to make it go live. There are people who do that. So sometimes you have to get kind of creative with your time management or how you're going to make this work for you. If it works to take all your photos on one day, do drafts, and then list them throughout the week, or if it works for you to take 5 or 10 photos a day, sit down and list them, you kind of have to figure out a system for you that is going to work around the time you have to do eBay so that you can reach your goal of how many you want to list. And you also have to find a way that works for you personally. Everybody works differently and everybody feels comfortable in a different kind of ritual, I guess. And I couldn't sit and take photos all day long. That would drive me insane. I take my photos and then list in smaller batches. But there are some people, that's the way their organizational brain part works, that they want to do all photos one day, all drafts another day, and then just make those drafts live. Maybe you like to do 5 photos, 5 listings, 5 photos, whatever. You got to find what works for you. Whatever ritual or system that's going to get you, excited about doing it and get you into a rhythm and allow you to spend the time that you have to list what you want to list each week is what's going to eventually or ultimately be how you wind up working this business for yourself. Because this is for ourselves. So this is like the one time in our lives we don't have to do anything a specific way. We don't have a boss telling us what to do. No one is micromanaging us. No one says this is company policy and this is how it must be done. No, you decide what works for you and you do it. And maybe you change it. Maybe every week you try something different or try something new, or you change how you're doing stuff to see if you're more efficient in a different way. You can do that. You can try something new every day. You're your own boss. You get to do what you want. So there's no set way to do this. It's whatever you can do and can dedicate yourself to and are more comfortable and work the most efficiently doing. And that's ultimately going to be how you run your business. So I didn't mean to hit the table. So that's the answer to the question. How many items should I be listing a day? Well, how much time do you have and how much money you need to make and how much time can you dedicate each day to listing those items to reach that numerical goal. And then everyone's situation is going to be different. Let me know if you have any more questions down in the comments below, you guys. This is an interactive series. This Back to Basics series from the beginning I said was interactive. So feel free to ask any questions you have about reselling or put in any requests that you have for a video on how to do something or to show you how to do something or explain something that you don't understand. You guys can put all of that down in the comments. And then, as always, if you guys would, before you leave, please smash the like button. I do appreciate it. If you haven't already, you'd like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, you guys have a good night.